I think back 40 years when I was just getting into this. I'm sure you obviously think back to when you first started getting into this, and you really first started getting into it because you were raised in this with this experience, right? With your dad and Wingfoot and all of that, Ben Hogan and such. The quality of coach now, I think, has gotten so much better. I think launch monitors and simulators have aided that. I think, obviously, I think about you, I think about McLean and Ledbetter, all of the instructional seminars that you have put on for individuals trying to figure out how to teach better. It's gotten better and better and better, and I think that's one of the reasons why these young kids are now able to play at the level that they're able to play at from such a young age. Would you agree that instruction has really taken a huge step in the last, say, 40 years, 30 years?
Well, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the elevate of everything, whether it be video work, whether it be biomechanics, whether it would be launch monitors, would be all of these things combined. But at the end of the day, it's still the quality that the instructor and the student have together. The instructor's ability to communicate what he needs to do. To give you a funny example, I was doing a seminar a few years ago, and somebody asked me, they said, Mr. Harmon, you're kind of old school. What do you think of technology? I said, I think technology is great. I said, we use every bit of technology we can use. I said, but it's not the end all. It's not there's more to it than technology. Technology makes it easier for the student to understand what we're telling them. I can see it with my own eyes. You can see it with your own eyes. But with the technology, we can communicate that better where they understand it. This is a kind of a funny little thing. This person that asked me this said, now, Mr. Harmon, what would your father think of these launch monitors and all these? And I said, well, I really wish he was alive to have to ask him that question. Because I said, here's the answer you would get. He would go, yeah, this stuff is all great, but you see that machine right there? It's never hit a shot. It's never hit a shot, that machine. Yeah, it's a math contest. It's spitting out numbers. He says on a tournament level, on the back nine on Sunday, when the guy's coming down the stretch and that red light on that camera is burning a hole in his forehead, that machine ain't going to help you, pal. It's all up to you.
I want to continue with this because it's an interesting thing. You see coaches that have a keen understanding of the technology, right? And at the same time, it doesn't necessarily make them a great coach. There's an understanding of what the numbers are all about, but then there's also an art to the coaching. Talk to me about your art of coaching and what makes it the art rather than the science.
Well, there's a difference between teaching and coaching. They're completely different things, especially at the upper level where I've been for the last 35, 40 years. The X and O's are one thing, and all the new modern technology and stuff helps guys that maybe don't have an eye you and I have, that we learned the hard way without any of this stuff. The ball told us everything we needed to know, where the ball started, the spin on it, the trajectory, the shape pretty much tells you the path of the club and the club face angle and impact. That's how you and I had to learn. This stuff has made it easier. I think the thing that I've noticed that bothers me a little bit with a lot of young instructors is they really very seldom even watch the guy swing and never look at the ball. They instantly go right to their phone or their iPad and they start looking at the numbers. What's important for me, for example, the way I've always taught, you know me, I'm very simple. I'm not smart enough to make it difficult. I'm not going to sit there and give you degrees and angles and all that. I'm just going to tell you what I see. I know that in the past with my tour players, I can turn my back to them and they'll hit a shot and I'll watch the ball where it curves. And I said, all right, we were filming it. I said, here's what we're going to see on the film. This club was a little bit outside coming down, blade was a little late, so on and so forth. But the ball really taught me all that by looking at it. And that's how you learn how to teach. And I think we've kind of lost that art of it. But having said that, there are so many qualified teachers. But as I said, coaching and teaching are different. A coach, you have to know when to kick a guy in the rear end. You got to know when to give him space. You got to know when to give him a hug, make him laugh, or just shut the hell up and let it be. You have to understand all that. And I think the success I've had with tour level players on that side of it is that, number one, I did play the game. I have played in major championships before. I've been around the game my whole life, but I can read my players very well, and every one of them's different. every single one of the players is a different one. I got to know when I can get in their face, when I need to back off and stuff. And as you know how I am, I don't really have a filter. If there's something wrong, I'm gonna let you know about it. I'm not one of those guys that I'm afraid to jump in and tell the guy something wrong because I might get fired. Heck, I've taken 4 or 5 people number one in the world. They all fired me, so I ain't gonna worry about this part of it. So I think the combination of my history in the game with my dad, having seen all the great players, having seen how they do it, even my own success with great players, with the guys that are taking the number one, I've seen it all. And I think that makes me good at it. So the X's and O's part is one part, the working on the mental side is another part.
Butch, I want to ask you another thing. I have had obviously the great fortune to listen to you, to have a friendship with you for a long, long time. And I always think that one of the best things that teachers can do is listen, and not just listen from the standpoint of what is going on coming out of the mouth of their student, but also too what's coming out of the sound when a ball is struck properly. There's an important part of that. And I think, like, to your point, looking down at the launch monitors and all that stuff, I think that really steals maybe some of the art of being a great coach and teacher, but the listening skills, I think, are really, really valuable. Talk about how important the listening aspect of coaching is.
Well, you can tell, especially with modern day drivers, you can tell if a guy hit it out of the center of the face or not. I mean, there's a different sound than when it hits in the toe and the heel. The beauty of the new drivers, and I think we make the Titleist, we make far and away the best driver in the game of golf. And the newer one that's just about to launch is even the best one we've ever made. But if you think about it, if you hit a ball on the heel with a persimmon and the ball, it's not going to go anywhere. And there isn't much feedback. Even the ones you hit out of the middle of the club with a persimmon head didn't have the sound that you have now with the metal lips. So you get a great feedback on that. People have to watch out with the irons now because the irons are very forgiving compared to what they used to be. You go back and look at the irons you learned to play with, and I learned to play with, how small the heads were. And if you hit the ball, it wasn't the same. Now you have the ability to have a club, because the R&D departments are so good, to hit the ball a little in the heel, a little in the toe, and still get good shots. But still, your ear is a great feedback. And people may not believe this, even in putting, Michael, you can actually see different, the ones that have softer inserts versus the firm ones. There's a different feel and a different putt. I've had tour players, when they switch putters, say, this doesn't sound the same as my old putter. It sounds differently. So yes, your ears and your eyes are very important as an instructor.
When I'm coaching, I'm curious to hear this. When I'm coaching, I'm sort of, my ears are glued to the words if or the word when. And when my students are using if, I always tell them, no, it's not if, it's when. We're going to acquire the skill. We don't know the date. If is something that kind of leaves us out there. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts on, are there some words that your students might deliver that you're listening to, that you're keen to, how they might say what they're saying, that lets you know that they're in a confident space or they're in a less than confident space?
Well, as you know, feel and real are very seldom the same thing. The average golfer, if we go back to the club level golfer, the mid-handicap guys, the 12 to 18 handicap guys that play, their feel and real are never the same thing. Just because they hit a pull hook, I came over the top of it. No, not necessarily. Maybe you were too far inside and your body stopped and your hand slipped. There's a lot of other things that go into that. I think as an instructor, and everything I want to tell you, I learned from my father, less is more. The less you can say, the more they're going to get out of it. The other thing I tell when I do these seminars, what I tell instructors, when you're giving a lesson to your club member, you have to be 100% in tune to understand what his level of golf is, what his level of practice time is, all of these things. You have to generate that in the way you deliver the message. And so the simpler you can deliver the message, the better it's going to be. I can remember when I was a junior golfer, pretty good player, and my dad was telling me in my game, and I hit a bad shot, and I said, I know what I did wrong on that one, Dad. I said, if you knew what you did wrong, why the hell are you still doing it?
Oh, that's great. Hey, Butch, you talking about your dad. I know he was a tremendous influence in your life and all of your siblings' lives. but there are other people that are in the game, that were in the game, that also had a tremendous influence. Give me the names of a couple of people that were big influences in your instruction, in your playing, and also why.
Well, the two biggest influences for me from my dad and the great John Jacobs. They were two of the people that I would call them, if I had mentors, they were my mentors. Both of them made things very simple to understand. John Jacobs had the most beautiful way. I don't know if you've been to any of the seminars in the most beautiful way of describing a golf swing and what you had to do. And both of them made it, as Dad used to say, you need to teach at a second grade level. So a kid in second grade can understand what you're talking about. Because when you're dealing with the average player and you start giving them, well, you're 4 degrees down and 3 from the inside, the guy, he's like a mule looking at a new gate. He has no idea what the hell you're talking about. Somebody asked me one time, they say, you've had such success with all type of players. Which launch monitor do you use? I said, well, you won't believe this. I use 2 of them when I teach. What are they? I said, these 2 blue things right here. That's my launch monitor. I can see if the damn ball is spinning too much or this or that, or it's launching in this. I don't need this machine to tell me that. You like hearing it, so I'll give you the numbers if you want them, but I've already seen it with these, and we're going to talk about how to fix it. And I think if there's anything we've lost in art, and it comes back to that. I always tell, when I do seminars for various PGA sections, I always tell someone, here's the best thing I think you can do. Pick out a guy that's had success, but you disagree with just about everything he says, and go to his seminar. And the guy said, well, why would I do that? I said, because you're going to go there, but you're going to come away from there. You may have learned 2 or 3 different things you didn't know you would have never learned unless you listen to this guy. So you have to have an open mind. I would like to say, and my dad talked about this all the time, learn to think outside the box. Don't put everybody in one category, because no 2 people are the same. There isn't one swing. We all have a belief in a model of a golf swing, but go right back to basic fundamentals. Posture, ball position, alignment. You don't have to be a great athlete to do it. All those. Nobody talks about that anymore. Your grip, your setup, where's your weight on your toes or your heels. These are just basic fundamentals. It takes no athletic ability at all to set up a golf club properly. But if you set up wrong, you got to do something to get out of that. So I think there's a lot of things that go into this teaching part of it that we have kind of lost, because you and I and the people that came before me, we didn't have all the technology. We had to really focus with our eyes. We really had to watch the ball when they hit it to give us the feedback we needed. And so I think that, to me, is kind of the way I look at it. And the old timers, I mean, they were phenomenal. My father was so far ahead of his time, Michael, it was beyond belief. He would he wore a plastic type belt. He'd take it off and tie it around you and do stuff like that. And he always had all these gimmicks. I can remember one time when I was a kid, I was kind of coming over it, and I couldn't work out how to get the club on the inside. I wasn't paying much attention. And in Wingfoot, in those days, we had these old iron rakes. And my dad got this iron rake, and he jammed it in the ground and put the handle, and it was so far inside, it was unbelievable. He said, look, I'm sick of talking to you. You come over one more time, you're going to break your wrist, okay? And I'm coming so far from the inside.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of ways I think we have to find to get in the guy's mind we're dealing with. You've heard me say this. I've heard you say this. You got to be able to say the same thing 5 or 6 different ways. Now, the difference between teaching tour players and teaching the club pros, when I'm teaching a tour player, I'm dealing with how he makes a living. So I better be 100% sure if I'm making this change, this is really what needs to happen, because with their talent level, they can do that. When I'm dealing with a 15 handicap, I can experiment all day long. Well, this isn't working. Okay, let's try this. And so there's a lot of different ways to get it done. And if you listen to the old timers, that's how they all taught.
Butch, I'm curious. I've seen a lot of fads, a lot of different swing philosophies come and go, right? There's a certain way to do this. There's a model that they have. You've never seemed to me to have a model. I don't know that I've ever asked you, do you have a model? There's a pragmatic way that you go about coaching, but I don't know that I've seen necessarily, this is the way to swing the golf club. This is the only way to swing the golf club. To your point about the old guys had it figured out. You learned a lot from your dad and others around there. Do you have a sort of philosophy on how to swing the club properly? And if so, what is it?
Well, for me, and I learned this once again, you'll hear me keep saying this during this interview. My dad was a genius, so even though it took me till I was about 40 to listen to him, but he 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 had all these different sayings, the way he could get you to do something. And I think it's important. I said it earlier, communication is a huge part of the teaching thing. There is no one way to swing a golf club. Everybody's different. We all may have a model of a swing that we like, but everybody's different as far as their flexibility and your strengths. And that's why I go back to basics all the time. The one thing that I learned from my dad and from John Jacobs is to never take away what somebody does naturally, just improve it. And that doesn't mean totally revamping the swing. It remains, as we say it all the time, find the cancer in the golf swing. The one thing that really keeps this guy from hitting a good shot, whether the cut's too far behind them, whether the path is over, the club face is shut or open. Fix that one thing. And it may take you 1 or 2 lessons to do it, and all of a sudden 4 or 5 other things just fall into place. Less is more. And if you can learn how to do that, you become a much better teacher. You know, the most common teaching aid that I use every day I give a lesson? A club box. I just put a club box down on the ground and angle it either out or in, depending on whoever want it. And those guys who come over the top and they come over the top and we film them from behind, and I put the club box down. I said, make a few practice swings, just don't hit the box. I'm not telling them how to do it. I'm not saying one word, just don't hit the box. They make a perfect swing. Club drops under. I put a ball in there. I said, okay, don't hit the box. I said, let's swing it about 60% effort to start with. Boom, perfect. Don't hit the box. Next thing you know, the club shaft isn't in this way coming down. It's laying down because the eyes, they see the box in front of them and they don't want to hit it. Now, they make all these tools, these angle things you can put there. Just take a club box. You get a guy that's hitting shanks, for example, and people don't understand shanks. They think it's with an open club face. Usually with a full swing, it's with a closed club face. And the divot tells you, because it's just a little skinny divot, just put their head cover down the other side of the ball and just say, don't hit the head cover. Well, the first time he may hit the head cover, next time all of a sudden, here, yeah, I'm a genius. No, you're doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm just helping you to try and get it. So there isn't any one way to do it. If you look at all of the 35 or 40 good professionals, both men and females, that I've had great success with, there's only 2 of them look like they have the same swing. That's Tiger and Adam Scott. I'm a great believer in basic fundamentals. I'm not going to let anybody start in the wrong position. Nobody talks about grip anymore. They forget it. That's the only hold we have with the club. I mean, let's get the club in the right position for the way you swing it. If you need to strengthen it up and get the ball out of right field, let's get into a stronger position. Then let's just check your line, look at your ball position. The further back you play it, the more closed you are. The further up you play it, the more open you are. This is basic. You have to be a genius, believe me. I flung second base. I'm not very smart, so I'm okay with looking slices.
Butch, there's a million questions that I want to ask you. By the way, I've gone to 6 summer schools, so I totally identify with you on the education part of this. But
my brother, wait a minute, you get this one. You know, I think I published 3 books in English, about 3 or more in Japanese, about 7 or 8 books that I published around the world. My brother said, we don't know how you can write all these books. You couldn't spell ox if I gave you the O.
Oh. So what I'm curious to ask you is not about the best, because that's sort of subjective. What's your favorite golf swing that you have ever sort of worked with or developed, or even sort of admired, whether it was Mickey Wright or somebody like that? Is there one golf swing that you sit there and you go, that's my favorite golf swing and here's why?
Well, the best swing that you've ever seen is the one that works under pressure. So I think the swings I like the most that work, I'm going to tell you one of an older generation guy who won a PGA, little bitty guy, his name is Jeff Sluman. I thought he used to have the coolest swing I've ever seen. He just kind of took it, he set it right here, and he rotated his body and he hit it. It was the simplest thing I've ever seen in my life. He literally just got in there, he set it right here, and then he unwound and he rotated his body beautiful and he hit great shots. So there isn't one way to do it. I think the important thing Michael, is everybody needs to find their own swing and own their own swing. And consistency is all. If you can do the same thing every time, Michael, you can play golf. That sounds simple. It's not. But if you watch these great players with unusual swings, they do the same thing every single time. The ball's the barometer, guys. We can BS ourselves. The ball tells you whether you're doing it right or wrong. It's that simple. The ball is going to be the optimum answer for whatever you're looking for. It's right there in front of you. And just watch it. Watch where it starts. Look at your divot. Look at your divot patterns. Look at the spin on the ball. Look at the trajectory. Look where it goes. That tells you the path of the club and the club face it in. It is that simple. We make it more difficult because up here to here is a different thing. And that's why as instructors and as coaches, we have to be able to articulate what we're trying to say to our student, whether it's a level of a tour player, a level of a beginner, or so much other. And I think it's the beauty of our game. It's why I love it. In my 80s, that's why I still teach. I love to teach. I love to help people.
All right, so I got to ask you this last question. I so appreciate the time. I know everybody with Team Titleist is really enjoying this. But I want to ask you this. This is not a fair question to ask, but you've been a part of some incredible wins, not just Masters wins or major wins, but some incredible wins. And we had a chance not long ago to see Gary Woodland win what was it enriched our souls knowing what he's gone through. You obviously have a keen understanding, having spent time with Gary and understanding what he's kind of battled. Is there one win that you have been a part of that sort of sticks out above all of them, major or not, that you can share with us when you reflect? You go, you know what, that was a fun one, and that was a hard one to get, and when we got it, it was an incredible moment.
That win a couple weeks ago was one of the emotional wins. I know Gary and I worked together for a long time. He works with Randy Smith now, and Randy has done a phenomenal job with him. No one really knows, other than those of us that are very close to Gary. He's one of my best friends, know what he went through and what he's still going through. He was very open about a month before this win to talk about all the stuff he goes through. I was in Europe and it wasn't on TV. I couldn't get it on TV. I'm messing with it on my phone. And I have to tell you, I cried like a baby when he tapped that putt in. He called me a day later and I started crying on the phone when I was talking to him because Gary and I are very close. We're such good friends. That one emotionally was very special. There's just so many good ones. I've been so fortunate to have been with the greatest players in the world, and for them to put their trust in me is a great honor. And I just marvel at every one of them and all the tournaments they've won, the hundreds of tournaments that I've had, and many, many majors I've been involved in. I get a little upset when I hear coaches say, yeah, I've got 4 majors. No, you never won a major. You've been a part of one. You never hear me say I have a number, because I don't. I was just a small part of that. There's a lot that goes into it. But for me, there's a lot of tremendous amount of self-satisfaction having known that I had a little something to do with all of that, and that they all put their trust in me. And it's why I continue to try and get better at what I do. I just want to be, I'm not one that thinks I know it all, because there's a lot of different ways to do it. And I just keep trying to learn and listen. But what I do miss is, fortunately for me, over, say, the last 30 years or 35 years in major championships, I've always been coaching people that had a great chance to win it. And I've always loved the rush of that, the rush of that. And when a guy struggles and doesn't win it, I'm hard on myself. Did I miss something this week? Is there something I didn't see or should have said? So I miss that part of it. I don't miss the grind of it.
Butchie, we've loved every minute of this, and I can't thank you enough for always saying yes. Every time I ask you, you always say yes. I appreciate it. I know everybody with Team Titleist appreciates it, and thank you for all of your guidance through the years. It's meant the world to me, and I know it's meant a lot to a lot of other coaches. Thank you for all of it.
And Michael, you've been a great credit to our game, and I always love coming on the air with you. But to be part of Team Titleist, which we all are, which is the greatest manufacturer in the game of golf, the classiest, the best leaders that we have, starting right back from Wally line and right on through to where we are now. it's just an honor to be involved with Tyler. So anytime you guys need me to do anything, you got my number, buddy.
You're
Just
the
don't give it
best.
out to anybody else.
You're the best. Thanks, Butchie.